In this video, I'm going to be talking about a burning sensation or scalp pain that is not associated with a trauma. So this would be, you haven't touched your hair, you didn't recently get it styled, you haven't done anything to it, but you seem to notice that your scalp burns or hurts or throbs in different areas, and you've noticed that you have this sensation fairly regularly. This is called trichodynia, and it's usually associated with the crown, the center areas of the scalp in both men and women. The term trichodynia is associated with pain or discomfort of the scalp relating to hair loss. There will be some people who feel this sensation of burning or sensitivity, but they have not noticed any hair loss, any excessive shedding, or any breakage in the area. Part of that reason is where trichodynia usually occurs on the scalp is not an area that is easy for people to see and look at regularly, so they will not be able to notice whether or not they are losing their hair in that area. Just because your scalp is burning or sensitive and you haven't touched it or done anything to it does not mean that you are losing hair in that area. For some people it's both. For some people it's just the pain. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. But there are a lot of people who experience pain and sensitivity in the area. When I was younger, I used to get this all the time, and I would always tell people who were older than me, my scalp hurts, and I would be told, you're touching it too much, keep your fingers out of it, maybe you did this, maybe you did that. And I knew that I wasn't doing anything to it, and the sensation wasn't similar to itching or anything of that nature. It felt like a little bit of a tingling or throbbing in different areas, and it was consistent enough for me to make note of it. And that's how you want to decide whether you want to have something checked. If you feel like you notice something enough for you to make note of it, like if you're washing your hair and hairs are coming out and it's like, okay, hair should come out, but if you start to feel like, is this too much hair? Is this too much hair? If you keep feeling like, I feel like this may be too much hair, then you want to have it checked, because 9 times out of 10, our body becomes used to certain things. There are certain things that become standard for us. When there's a change from the standard, we make note of it. And sometimes we don't want to acknowledge the note, but you should. It's the same thing with trichodynia. I know when I was younger, like I said, I would have that pain, and I started telling myself, if I can feel my hair growing, it must be my hair growing. It wasn't my hair. It wasn't my hair growing at all, but I cannot say that it was hair loss, because where I was feeling it wasn't in an area that I can look at, and at this time I don't have any areas on my scalp that indicate that I lost hair at one point or another and was not able to regrow it. But for someone else, it can be that. This happens very much in both men and women. Sometimes you will get that sensation, you feel like your hair is growing, and you'll think to get a brush and brush your scalp. If you're using this kind of brush, which I'm going to explain in the next video, do not use this brush on your scalp, please. Thank you. Don't do it, okay? For some strange reason, if you have a lump on your leg and it's swollen and it's warm, for some reason, and they feel like squeezing it or applying pressure to that pain alleviates pain, people have that same association with a burning sensation, a tingling sensation in their scalp. They think to scratch, to brush, it makes it feel better. You don't want to do that, because with trichodynia there is a possibility that your hair follicles, the root of your hair that is under the skin, is inflamed. So if it's inflamed and you take a hard brush and you're brushing vigorously at it, you're going to be pulling out follicles and cause your scalp to bleed. If you cause your scalp to bleed, that hair follicle will never grow back. There's also the possibility of a fungus and bacteria infection occurring under the scalp. You don't want to allow the bristles to penetrate your skin and spread that bacteria to areas that don't currently have the bacteria in it. So I just wanted to say, trichodynia in the trichology world, it is considered obsessive-like sensation. Some people, it's also considered to be triggered to anxiety, depression, and stress. So you can be going through a stressful period in your life where you're very anxious, you're very stressed, and then it feels like your scalp is throbbing. Your scalp is actually throbbing as a reaction to different life style factors or environmental factors that are occurring at the time. If your hair is not falling out with it, then it would not necessarily be a medical emergency to which you need an immediate assessment, but it will be a situation where you want to make a style change in terms of how you deal with your stress. And it'll be something where you want to look at what is depressing you, what is causing you to be anxious, and make changes so that the throbbing sensation can go away. Now, if you have the throbbing sensation and your hair is shedding, it's going to be two things, because with hair loss or scalp disorders, it's very common for you to have more than one disorder occurring at a time. So if you have the throbbing, the the throbbing, the burning, and maybe itching, because sometimes people feel an itch like a burn, and sometimes people feel a burn as an itching sensation. So if you have trichodynia and your hair is falling out from the root at an excessive rate, it's very likely that you have trichodynia and telogen effluvium occurring at the same time. In that scenario, you would want to get an assessment, and then you can start a treatment plan to minimize the hair loss, because telogen effluvium is temporary. The telogen effluvium is the medical term for excessive shedding or temporary hair loss. It will correct on its own, but for some people it can take a year to correct. In that time, you don't want to be losing hair and not feel like your hair is going back fast enough. So if you have an assessment done, determine that you have trichodynia and telogen effluvium at the same time, you can be put on a regrowth plan that will help to test the telogen effluvium and start to regrow your hair, so that as it phases out of the body or as it stops on its own, you just don't have areas that seem very thin and very noticeably thin. You kind of want to be able to be growing in hair so that as the problem goes away or as you work through your treatment, it's less noticeable. Information on trichodynia is very much limited, in part because most people aren't very vocal when they're expressing their concerns. And so if you tell someone your scalp is itching or your scalp is burning, they would probably associate it with dandruff or conditions that cause dandruff, because some people's nerves express an itching sensation in the form of a burning sensation. So what itches me may burn you, okay? So if you think about dandruff, or people who have dandruff conditions where they feel like their scalp is itchy, someone else can feel like their scalp is burning, or somebody can feel like their scalp is sensitive. For a lot of dermatologists, the itching or the scalp burning sensation are usually connected to dandruff. It's not really thought of as a trichodynia-like symptom because people aren't very vocal about where they feel it, how often they feel it. To get a very good assessment, either a dermatologist or a trichologist, you have to be very detailed about the things you're experiencing and the things that you're seeing in terms of hair loss or scalp conditions, so that they can kind of rule out things. There are a lot of conditions that have similar symptoms, but the more you talk to a person to find out how long they've experienced something, where they're experiencing it, how frequently they're experiencing it, the better we'll be able to determine if it's one thing or another. As I was saying, with trichodynia in general, the studies are becoming more detailed with time, because more clinical studies are being performed on people, and more assessments are being made to isolate symptoms with this particular condition from another, and more people are being vocal about those symptoms. So it's not something that you're making, not something that other people haven't experienced. It is something that, if it's not connected to hair loss, is considered a sensation more than it is a serious condition, because it's associated with how your body processes stress, depression, or anxiety. So if your hair is falling out, you would obviously be put on a treatment plan. Correct that part of the treatment plan would be stress relieving activities, and another part of the treatment plan would be hair regrowth. There probably will be some aspects of your diet and lifestyle that will have to be amended to make the likelihood of reoccurrences small. That's all for today's video on trichodynia. Please visit the blog section of madammobile.com for the blog post in conjunction with this video. If you found this video useful, hit the subscribe button. After you hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, then hit the comment button and let me know what you think. Until next time, be good to your body, gentle to your hair, and prepared to do whatever you need to be your best.